Gospel according to Luke. Some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, came forward and put this question to Jesus, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman but died childless. Then the second and the third married her. And likewise all the 7 died childless. Finally the woman also died. And now at the resurrection, whose wife will that woman be? For all 7 had been married to her." Jesus said to them, "The children of this age marry and remarry, and those who are deemed worthy to attain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, but they are like angels. And they are the children of God, because they are the ones who will rise. Then the dead will rise, and even Moses made known in the passage about the bush, when he called out, 'Lord, the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, and the God of Isaac,' for he is not God of the dead, but of the living. And to him all are alive." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, we who live in the Northeast have 4 distinct seasons throughout the year, and that's, I think, kind of good. I would get kind of bored with this, the weather being the same all the while. But I think you might agree that each particular season has a certain feeling about it, and sometimes we even say that about certain days of the week, that like Monday doesn't feel like a Friday, and vice versa, and that type of thing. And certainly you can say that perhaps about every month in a particular season has a certain feeling that is determined by the things that go on during that particular season. So let's consider November as an example, the month that we are in right now, and what things happen in November that make it kind of unique, in addition to the dropping of the leaves from the trees and the shortening of the days and the colder weather coming at us, yet it's a very beautiful season. First of all, in November, we have the World Series. Usually it used to be in September years ago, but now it's way back to November. And I enjoyed it very much. I hope you did. Stayed up too late, lost an hour of sleep because of the extra innings and so on. And then, for instance, this evening we will return to standard time once again. And I get that hour back that I lost, a few nights ago. So everything seemed to work out in the end. Did you also notice that this coming week there's an election coming up? Did you hear about that at all? You've seen a few ads probably. Sent a few posters out on people's lawns and so on. And I would encourage you, it's all I'm going to say about it. Get out and vote as a good citizen of the country. What I was thinking about after listening for over a year now, various issues and so on, that maybe a good song that could be our theme song on Tuesday. It's a song that Sister Kate sings for us sometimes. God Bless America. Kate Smith, let your light shine upon her from above and so on. It's not only a song, it's a prayer. And we do need God in our lives and in our country and so on. There's also this particular month, we have another holiday called Veterans Day. We honor our veterans as we should. And of course, a very biggie in the month that we really associate, identify with November is Thanksgiving, coming up in a few weeks. One of my favorite holidays. It's people are in such a good mood, and I don't know, a certain spirit of thankfulness about that particular holiday that I really like. But what I really want to talk about tonight is what happened a couple of days ago on November 1st and November 2nd within the church liturgies where we celebrated the Feast of All Saints and the Feast of All Souls. And those two particular days that remind us that the month of November has been devoted to remembrance of the faithful departed. As we do this evening at this beautiful ceremony of those who have departed over the past few months of our parish here at St. Michael's. We think about the deceased and the afterlife. That's certainly on our minds, and I think very often. As we think about the deceased, we tend to certainly feel that we do miss them. Sometimes we even may get a little melancholy about it, and that's natural and normal. But think of the attitudes that Christ spoke when he was thinking about things like this. He said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. They will be consoled." So we are to be encouraged by that. And I think the church liturgy that is sometimes used at the vigil service for a deceased person, which opens with these words, kind of gives us a good note of optimism and consolation. And those words are, "We believe that all the ties of love and friendship that knit us together on earth do not unravel with death." I like that idea of unraveling. It does not unravel with death, like a sweater being unraveled by perhaps a playful kitten or something like that. But what it's saying there, there's a whole new relationship that exists when a person departs from this physical world, yet they're still in our minds and with us in a very spiritual way. It's called really, as you know from your catechism, the communion of saints. It's the real relationship between all of us and the deceased. Usually you speak of the saints as, for instance, all saints, those not only canonized, recognized by the church after a long procedure, but also by almost other multitude of people who have gone to heaven and are there now. I call them the church triumphant, I believe, and the church victorious. And we pray to them, not in a sense for them, because they can pray for us. They don't need our prayers. And they are in high places, and we need friends in high places. That's a good thing to have. They can intercede for us in heaven. Then there's a group that's maybe not there yet, for some reason or other. I'm not going to go into that too much, but just the idea that those who maybe need a little cleaning up before they get to the heavenly reward, maybe they're not quite ready for prime time yet, but they're on their way, and there's great hope in that situation. And we pray for them as we do this evening. We pray for the deceased we remember this evening, and all the masses that we have. We usually have an intention for the mass to pray for the deceased person to help them. And then, of course, part of that communion of saints is all of us living in this world of physical life that the earth and our earth, they sometimes call, I think, the church the militant. That's not a very popular term these days, but those of us who are struggling along the way on our journey in life. We might ask, well, what does Jesus have to say to help us in understanding what the afterlife will be all about? And he doesn't give us a lot of details, because we probably couldn't handle a lot of details in this area, certainly. And that comes up because this evening's gospel brings that subject up, where these people called the Sanhedrin question Jesus about something that may or may not go on in the afterlife. Sanhedrin, the Sadducees, I should say. The Sadducees were a group kind of like the intelligentsia of the day, a little maybe uppity in a way. They did not believe at all in the resurrection. And yet they came to Christ with this hypothetical and yet hypocritical question about the story of the woman who had 7 husbands, and they all died, and when they get to heaven, who's going to be your husband, and so on. They presume, by asking that question of Christ, that was kind of one of those gotcha questions, so they can look embarrassed and kind of silly. But they were presuming that in heaven, if it exists to them, would be just a continual or eternal continuation of life as it presently is, no change, like the same old, But actually for them, this life was it. Nothing beyond, no heaven. This is all there is. So make your heaven right here on earth. That is not our relief, and that is not what Jesus has taught. Jesus might say, not maybe in these words, but There's nothing to be farther from the truth that life hereafter is just a continuation of the present life. It will be different. The liturgy of the church tells us that life is not ended, but it is changed, certainly in many ways that we really don't understand right now. We are not really, we do believe that the dead do rise, from the grave, and that the resurrected person, as Christ told us, no longer live within the limits that life imposes upon us. And even our deepest relationships with one another will not be restricted to human boundaries, even such as marriage or any other thing that may bind us. It will be completely different, and yet full of hope, full of peace, full of harmony, and full of joy. I kind of like the phrase that was in the gospel today too about we are children of God now. In fact, in the first letter of John, the evangelist he wrote something like that where he said, we are now in this world on the way. We are children of God, and what we shall be has not yet been revealed, although we believe it. And we do not know when it will happen or be revealed, but we shall see him like he is, for we will be like him because we will see him as he is. In other words, the best is yet to come. I find it exciting, I find it encouraging, and very hopeful and comforting. Life in heaven will be, I may say, the biggest and greatest surprise that we will ever experience. So therefore, let not our hearts be troubled, but be at peace and consoled and be encouraged as we try to live our life as best we can, trying to make God's will done on earth as it is in heaven in a perfect way. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the